No need for the cake, just throw it away, my husband said on my birthday. Then, he had the nerve to go on a trip with his mistress. I thought this might be our last chance to fix things, but I was wrong. I really don't think I can keep living with him anymore. Understood. If you want me to throw out the cake, then I'll throw out something else important to you, too. Get ready, because I'm going to get rid of something that matters most to me, my name. My name is Sarah. I'm 28 years old and work in an office. My husband, Bob, also works in an office, but at a different company. We don't have any kids. Bob and I met a year ago at a party thrown by a senior colleague. I'm not very interesting, I'm a bit overweight, shy, and tend to be gloomy. My hobby is reading comic books, and I prefer staying indoors, so I was only invited to the party to fill up space. Knowing this, I didn't talk much and mostly just sipped my drink by the edge of the table. Despite this, Bob, who was handsome and outgoing, started talking to me. He shared stories about his travels and his collection of vintage vinyl records, which I found really interesting. When it was time to leave, he asked for my contact information. I was surprised but happy, so we exchanged Facebook details. The next day, he messaged me, wanting to meet up just the two of us. At first, I thought this was a joke, but I was excited and agreed. After a few dates, he confessed his feelings for me. I had never had a boyfriend before, so I was thrilled and accepted. 3 months into our relationship, he proposed, and we got married. I felt like I was living a dream, marrying someone as wonderful as Bob. I thought my life as a happy wife was about to begin. But as soon as we got married, Bob changed completely. While dating, he was very kind, but after the wedding, he started leaving all the household chores to me. He would just relax, watching TV or listening to music when he got home from work. Sometimes, I'd call him for dinner, but he wouldn't hear me over the loud music and wouldn't come right away. On his days off, he'd leave me alone and go out with friends, saying he had plans. When I asked him to help with chores, he'd reply, "I'm busy." When I reminded him that I also work and could use help, he'd say, "I have to hang out with my friends, unlike you, who don't have many because you're so gloomy." That comment hurt. I know I'm not very social, but I didn't think he should say such rude things to me. I wanted to avoid a fight, so I kept quiet. Slowly, Bob began to criticize the way I handle all the cooking and cleaning, and soon Bob started insulting me. He said things like, "You should be grateful that a great guy like me married someone plain and overweight like you." I thought a real gentleman wouldn't say those things to his wife and would help out around the house. If he had a problem with how I clean, he could at least take care of his own room. The only thing he seemed to care about was his record collection. I also love reading comic books and have collected a lot over the years. One day, I noticed that all my comic books were gone from my room. When I asked Bob about it, I suspected the worst. He casually said, "Oh, those? They were in the way, so I threw them out." I couldn't believe it. Those books were important to me, and some were hard to find. When I protested, he just said, "Your comic books were overflowing into the living room. You should outgrow this childish hobby." How dare he criticize my interests and throw away my things without asking? If he was going to be this awful and verbally abusive, why did he even marry me? I realized that Bob probably just wanted a free housekeeper. When he met me at that party, he must have thought I was an easy target because I was quiet and submissive. This realization made me cry many nights in bed. It's manageable now, but if we had kids, I shuddered to think about the future. Then one day, a friend told me she saw Bob walking arm in arm with a woman who wasn't me in the hotel district. He had said he was going out to meet a friend, and I had thought that friend was a man. What did it mean that he was with a woman? Could he be cheating? So, I hired a private investigator. As I suspected, Bob was cheating on me. The other woman was a junior colleague named Susan, and he had been seeing her since we got married. Whenever he said he was going out with friends or colleagues, it was mostly dates with Susan. How could he dump all the housework on me and then cheat? I thought about divorcing him and even talked to a lawyer, but part of me couldn't completely hate Bob, the man who made even a plain and boring woman like me dream about marriage. So, I decided to give it one last chance. This coming Saturday is my birthday, and if Bob celebrated it with me, I thought I might hold off on the divorce. At dinner, I asked Bob, "Do you remember what's coming up this Saturday?" He looked confused and asked if something special was happening. I was shocked to see he had completely forgotten. My hopes began to fade. When I continued, "It's my birthday," he finally said, "Oh, yeah, now that you mention it, well, it falls on a day off this year." I was thinking about getting a cake and having it with Bob for my birthday. "You promise, right? Don't make any other plans," I said. feeling a bit anxious. Bob seemed reluctant but agreed. Then came the Friday before my birthday. During dinner, Bob said, "I have a business trip tomorrow." "What? Tomorrow is my birthday, and we promised to eat cake together. I've already made a reservation," I protested. He replied, "Well, it's work. I can't help it. You need to understand my job. I'll be gone for 2 days and 1 night, and I'll be back Sunday evening. Please pack for me." "What about the cake?" I asked. "Just throw it away if you don't need it," he said casually. I was shocked. How could he say to throw it away on my special day after I went through the trouble of reserving it? I started to feel suspicious about his business trip. While Bob was in the shower, I checked his smartphone and found messages with his mistress. They were planning a trip together for 2 days and 1 night. The messages said things like, "Are you sure your wife hasn't found out? And this Saturday is Sarah's birthday. She wants to celebrate, but it's a hassle. I don't want her demanding gifts, so I thought I'd go on a trip with you." I felt devastated. I almost cried from the shock, but managed to hold back my tears. I took a screenshot of their conversation on my phone. I didn't even want gifts. I just wanted to celebrate my birthday with him. If he had agreed to eat cake with me, I might have still believed that he cared about me a little, but seeing those messages with his mistress shattered any remaining hope I had. On my birthday, Bob boldly said at the front door, "I'm heading out now, while I'm on my business trip. Can you clean my room for me? I'm going to pick up the cake we reserved today. Do you still want me to throw away your share?" he asked. "Stop nagging," I said. "It's fine," I replied. "Understood. I'll clean your room and throw away anything I think you don't need," he said. "Is that okay with you?" he asked. "Yeah, it's fine," I said. With that, Bob left for what he claimed was a business trip, but I knew it was really a trip with his mistress. I remembered when he asked if I could throw away anything I thought he didn't need, and I recorded our conversation on my voice recorder, so he couldn't take it back now. Once inside Bob's room, I vacuumed and cleaned the windows. Then, I got rid of things he didn't want, like old clothes, piles of stationery, and his record collection that he had spent a lot of money and time building. I packed everything up and put it in the storeroom. Then, I placed the filled-out divorce papers on the living room table and left the house. After all, it was my birthday, and I was going to enjoy it. First, I picked up the reserved cake. Then, I booked a room in a luxury hotel I had always wanted to visit. I ate the cake in my hotel room. Bob had told me to throw it away, but I couldn't waste food, so I ate both pieces. It was delicious, but I worried about gaining weight again, so I needed to start dieting. After that, I went shopping at nearby stores and took a stroll by the sea. I had spent all my days off doing housework, so having a day like this was a first in a long time. Just as I was enjoying my day, I got a call from Bob on Sunday night. Honestly, I didn't want to answer, but I had to. "Hello?" I said. "Hey, where the heck are you? I got back from my business trip, and you're not home. There's no dinner ready." Bob was ruining my relaxing hotel stay with his calls. "What's going on? Why are you in a hotel? Where's my dinner?" he shouted. I replied, "Well, I'm staying in a hotel for a bit. There's a lovely view here. Want me to send you a picture?" He didn't care about that. "I found the divorce papers. What's going on?" "If there are divorce papers, you should know what to do, right? Are you planning to make a paper airplane with them? Just sign it and take it to City Hall," I said. "Are you serious? You want a divorce?" Bob asked. "That's right. I'm sick and tired of this. You just leave everything to me and never help with the chores. The first thing you do when you call me is get mad because there's no dinner ready. It's unbelievable." He then asked about his record collection. "What happened to my records?" "I threw them away," I replied. Bob's voice got louder. "You threw them away? Are you kidding me? You knew I cherished those. But you told me before your trip that I could throw away anything I thought was unnecessary. You said it was okay. I even recorded our conversation. Want to listen? Besides, you threw away my comic books too, didn't you?" I continued. "Don't just drop divorce papers on me and leave," he yelled. "Fine, let's meet and talk," I said. A few days later, I didn't want to see Bob, but we had to meet at the lawyer's office. Bob looked shabby, with unkempt hair and wrinkled clothes. I used to iron his clothes, and I thought maybe he ran out of conditioner, but he should be able to buy his own. Seeing Bob like this made me wonder why I ever liked him. I was worried about how I'd feel when I saw him again, but it turned out I had no reason to worry. When the discussion started, I said, "I haven't changed my mind about wanting a divorce. This is the amount I want for alimony. When I told him the amount, Bob shouted, $30 million? That's way too much. Just because you didn't help with the housework? I asked. That's not all. You've constantly insulted me, calling me fat and plain, and worst of all, I have evidence of your cheating. I showed him the screenshots from the private investigator. You've been cheating on me since we got married, even on my birthday. You lied about a business trip to go on a vacation with your mistress. Considering all of this, $30 million is still not enough. Sarah, did you know about the affair? Bob asked, looking at the photos. He turned pale when I nodded. Did you think I didn't notice, because I'm not smart? And you threw away my beloved comics? That's because you threw away my records, he replied. Oh, I lied about throwing them away. I told him. I thought about it, but I didn't want to be blamed for it, so I kept them. They're stored in the back of the storeroom. What? Bob looked relieved. Why are you so relieved? The fact that you threw away my comics hasn't changed, so you should compensate me for that. And about the cake, you said to throw it away, but I couldn't waste food, so I ate both pieces. When Bob asked if he was right, I chuckled and said, no, I didn't throw anything away. I told you I would get rid of things I don't need, and I've done just that. Well, actually, I'm about to get rid of something. Huh? Bob looked confused. I smiled wider and said, you're the thing I need the least, and I'm going to get rid of you completely. Understand this, the alimony will not be less than this amount. If you argue, it'll be higher. Bob paused and said, I'm sorry, I won't cheat anymore, and I'll help with the housework. Because I'm here? I asked. No, that's not it, Bob babbled, but I interrupted him. I intend to divorce you. I don't want to hold on to trash, because I'm a neat freak. At that moment, Bob looked defeated and said, I'm trash. His expression was priceless. After that, we divorced. All communication has gone through our lawyers, so I haven't seen Bob since. According to my lawyer, Bob, who had always left the housework to me, didn't have any domestic skills. He briefly lived with Susan, but she couldn't manage the house either, and their place quickly became a mess. They were always eating out, and Bob started gaining weight. His once handsome face now looked quite sad. Eventually, Susan broke up with Bob and found another job. Gossip spread at work about their affair, making him uncomfortable, but he couldn't quit because I asked for a lot in alimony. As for me, I switched jobs and moved, enjoying living alone. I'm not overwhelmed by housework anymore, and no one gives me a hard time. I'm happy, plus, since I'm not stressed, my face looks brighter, and I've been told I look a little thinner. If I keep losing weight, I might just make Bob regret everything even more.